tonight we're joined by ESPN 680 radio host Jason Anderson. Jason, first time on the KSTV set. Yes. We're so glad to have you.
Well, very happy to be here.
Now, we like you better on the blue side than over there in the red.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's nice. It's welcoming over here. I didn't think it would be.
It is. Yeah, it's warm. It's welcoming.
Right. A lot of rumors about how welcoming it actually is, but this has been
well, we're
very
glad
fun.
to have you. Hopefully you have a good experience.
Well, we appreciate it.
All right. Anthony Davis strapped on sneakers instead of his boot Tuesday night in his first game against the Washington Wizards, minus John Wall, of course. He grabbed 8 rebounds and added 13 points. He followed up that performance with an 11-point game last night against Oklahoma City. Davis only managed 4 rebounds and 1 block against the Thunder. Now, Jason, not the strongest start out of the gate, but he did miss 11 games. How long do you think it will take the Hornets to get Anthony Davis back to his full speed?
You'd have to expect a couple of more games. I mean, the guy was out. It's an ankle injury, so while you're able to ride the bike or do whatever exercises they thought he could do when he's on the sidelines, it's not the same as playing basketball. It's not the same as being out there with the team and being in the same motion and fluidity with everybody on the court. So that obviously has an impact. So he comes back. He's doing the things you expect him to do, grab some rebounds, score some points, block some shots, be a presence inside, which ultimately is what the Hornets want. Look, if you can run up and down the court, just stand in the middle of the lane, block some shots, deflect some shots, disrupt the timing of the opposing team's offense, and we'll get you back to full 100% health eventually. So probably another week or so, and you'll see Anthony Davis going at 100%.
I've had a few of those boots in my lifetime. It's kind of hard to get out of that. He didn't have any injuries at UK, so this has got to be kind of a transition to go through that rehab process. But how much was he an asset to the Hornets, seeing him out of those few games?
Well, yeah, I mean, you see how big of an impact he is on the court when he's not in there, because the Hornets, allow more points per game, and obviously the block shots go down across the board because a lot of that has to do with Anthony Davis, and he comes back and he makes an impact. You can see that on the court. You can actually quantify that with the numbers that are there when he's in there and when he's not in there. So there's reasoning behind the #1 pick in the draft. The Hornets are very happy with that. It is an injury. It is interesting, though, you mentioned that he wasn't injured at Kentucky, because that's because Cal's players don't get injured. It's actually a rule that Cal does not allow you to get injured at Kentucky. So Anthony Davis saved up all of his injury karma in Kentucky. And then when he got to New Orleans, and now he's going to get injured. John Wall is going to get injured. So, everybody's going to have to go through and now cash in the rain check that they wrote for their injuries while they were at Kentucky.
It's like there's a bubble, and
yes,
you just can't get
touched. Yeah.
Now, one player has had a problem with that. DeMarcus Cousins was suspended one game for his below-the-belt hit on O.J. Mayo. This season has been tough on Cousins. He was suspended for confronting the announcer and doesn't seem to enjoy playing basketball anymore. Now, Jason, we talked to him after a game that they lost. He just doesn't seem like he's having fun. What is his deal? Can he turn his attitude around? You
hope he can. I mean, the interesting part about this, and probably the more troubling part, is the whole Paul Westphal thing that happened last January. He gets fired. A lot of the conversation and the talk, at least the reports out of Sacramento, are that he's got a really good relationship with Keith Smart, the head coach there now. So with all of this stuff going on, and he doesn't, seem on the outside as a happy person that's playing basketball, you would think that would have been alleviated or fixed or made better by the relationship with Keith Smart. But it hasn't been that way. And it's interesting moving forward. I think the most interesting part about O.J. Mayo's comments wasn't, he's got a maturity issue, or he's mentally unstable, all of those things that everybody's talked about with DeMarcus Cousins, which I don't believe the mental unstable part, more probably misunderstood. And shocker that a 22-year-old is immature, by the way. The one part that he said, though, that I thought was interesting, he said, DeMarcus Cousins has the ability and the talent to be the best player in the face of the Sacramento Kings, but I don't think he wants it. That, to me, it goes into the personality of him is, I've got the talent, but yeah, I'd like to just go and play my games and get out of the spotlight. I don't know that I want to be the guy that the franchise says, hey, it's on you. Here's the max contract. You're the face of the franchise. We want you to be this guy. I don't know that he wants that. It's like it's laying there right there for him to grab, and he just doesn't want it right now. And he even talked to Coach Cal about it, and Coach Cal just said, play with that fun and that enthusiasm you had with UK. And he's like, once he got to Sacramento, he said, I don't want that spotlight anymore. Right, yeah. I mean, look, I would love to have the opportunity to know what $7 million a contract, the pressures that go along with that. But ultimately, I don't know. And it's very easy for a lot of people to sit on the sidelines and judge and say, well, come on, make me the face of the franchise. Okay, that's fine. You want to be famous? I think most people want to be famous when it's convenient. You want to be famous when you're out at a bar and you've got bottle service. But if you're going to grab a gallon of milk real quick, you're fine with the anonymity and nobody coming up and trying to get your autograph and things like that. So I don't know that DeMarcus Cousins is fully comfortable with all that, and he's still 22 years old. Yeah, I don't blame him.
having fame all the time has got to be really rough on a 22-year-old. Now, Coach Calipari is arguably the #1 recruiter in college basketball and is known for his tireless hours on the road trying to get that next #1 recruiting class. But this trip was for more of a personal reason, to see 2 of his former players, or as he refers to them, sons, in Charlotte. The matchup between MKG of the Bobcats and Eric Bledsoe of the Clippers was one that Cal couldn't miss. Now, Coach Cal said he always likes to look at the schedule, see what games he can go to. This is one of those matchups that he got to see 2 of his players. What relationship does he have with those former players that he can go do this?
I think he's got a really good one. I mean, it's interesting that, you hear the coaches across the country that talk about, and even Rick Pitino's talked about it. I don't know if I can bring in the one and dones, that relationship. I like to really develop that bond and that relationship with my players over, the course of their career, 3 or 4 years. It's one of the criticisms that people have had about the one and done players and that relationship the coaches love to have with their players. Well, Cal's proving that in the short amount of time that he has with his players, he clearly forges a strong relationship between the two, and he keeps up with them. Like you mentioned, DeMarcus Cousins and him having conversations, going and seeing MKG and watching Eric Bledsoe play, or as they like to call him, Little LeBron, watching all of that stuff go on. I think it drives right into the face of all the criticism of that Cal brings the guys in, hired mercenaries, go win for me, and then get on your way, that he actually does coach the guys and make them better players and ultimately better people.
I think that's good for recruiting too. Like, he's not just going to send you in, send you out, go on your way.
Well, he wasn't on a recruiting pitch. It was a personal thing, but it is a recruiting pitch as well, that he goes into the living room of the mothers and says, yeah, your kid's only here 1 year. So was Eric, so was MKG. And I went and watched him play. We have lifelong relationships that we are able to bond over in 1 year time. The same I'll do with your son.
Everything is about recruiting with Coach Cal.
24/7.
Now, we all heard after the Stanford game, Cal called out his team out of shape 11 times in a single press conference. I was there. It wore me out. And he put the team on a tough early morning conditioning program. And now, thanks to CoachCal.com, we got an inside look at what exactly Camp Cal is.
Play for our team. He's behind you. He didn't run. So you got to yell, get in the middle! Push! So you threw it there, and he's behind there. That's you. Again, we're not worried about anyone else on the team. You're just worried about yourself. It's a simple game. This isn't, I'm going to prove that you're wrong. Because who's winning every battle? I'm going to win every battle. Then what you're going to do is we're going to start playing games here. We got one Saturday afternoon that you're going to look at each other and say, he ain't going to stop this conditioning until we play a full game. And it doesn't matter if the game ends up being close. That's not what it is. It's that no one ever calls me and says they play with no sense of urgency. They got no fight in them. Where these guys are supposed to be good players, why aren't they playing more together? Should not get those calls. You should take pride in the worst team in Kentucky. What? What are you talking about? If we're the worst team, no wonder they won the most games in the history of the game. That's my. I look. What? You guys are like, yeah, well, I'm looking about where am I ranked? We can't. We got to do this together.
Now, Jason, I don't want to battle Coach Cal in Camp Cal. Yes. Do you think this is the kind of thing that's going to whip this young team into shape?
I think it'll help. I mean, I think time will tell with that. I mean, we'll see on Saturday when they go out there and play. But certainly there was a message being sent to the players that, I mean, there's always, even the was it Sanford's head coach, or who was it that called out the players and said that they were entitled as well? There's that feeling around this team, and I think we will find out in time if this Camp Cal has an impact that he certainly hopes it does.